Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel KBS Technocrop. Today we are going to understand how to integrate fake data generator with SpecFlow. So in this we are going to understand what are the fake data, why do we need fake data, what is the advantage of using fake data, and finally we are going to see and implement a real-time scenario to integrate with SpecFlow. Also, we are going to compare multiple fake data generator like Bogus, Faker, and AutoFixture. Before we deep dive into the technical implementation part, let's understand what is fake data generator. So basically, fake data generators are a third-party libraries or packages which require to integrate with any of the testing framework or automation framework, which will help us to generate the realistic data. For example, let's say consider you have a registration page and you want to do some automation test cases. So you require every time a new test data to be generated, for example, email ID, first name, last name, right? And also you require a uniqueness of data because once you register in the actual system, it will not allow to duplicate a certain values, right? Like email or certain values or first name, last name. There might be some restriction. To overcome that, we require is some kind of tool or some kind of library which help us to generate this test data so that when we are running a test case and we require to run those test cases multiple times, what exactly we need a unique test data every time get generated on fly and run the test cases. So the fake data generator is basically available in all language and platform. So for C sharp, we are going to consider there are three different fake data generators, which we will go through that and we'll understand. In this, the bogus, faker, and also there is AutoFixture. Okay, so uh, why this fake data generator is required? Basically, fake data generator ensure the tests are repeatable as do not rely on the fixed data set. So, for example, if you are using a static data, right? Let's say consider you are having 10 records and you are inserting those 10 records, and then your data will be static. You will be always using same static data, all setup data, which is defined either in database, CSV file, or any file. Okay, so what happens after a certain time, you might need to tear down the data. For example, if you want to insert same data multiple times, what will happen? You have to clear your data or tear down the data. So that we can avoid it by using this. So in this, since the data generator generates every time new test data, our test automation framework need not to worry about the test data. So that responsibility goes with the test data generator, which will generate the test data, right? And make our test cases test driven. Fake data can be used to simulate a realistic scenario. For example, if you are having, let's say, name where you are allowing first name only 10 character, 12 character, uppercase, lowercase. So our fake data generator will generate the data in certain format which you require to validate it. Isolation. Generating fake data within a test promote test isolation. So each test can create its own unique test data and tailor it and specific requirement. So we will talk in more detail about bogus, faker, and AutoFixture. These are the most popular, fake data generator for CSAT. So we will see what is the advantage and disadvantage, and then we'll go for the implementation. So basically, bogus, faker, and AutoFixture. Bogus and faker are having MIT license, and then AutoFixture is Apache license. Language supported, basically bogus supports C sharp and AutoFixture C sharp, but faker support multiple language. Purpose, some of the libraries serves multiple purpose. So bogus generate only test data. Uh, Same faker also generate test data, but AutoFixes are also creating the anonymous test object. Okay. Uh, the configurations and customizations are very extensive for the bogus, but limited to faker and AutoFixes, right? So Based on this table, you will be able to find out the bogus is someone which is more preferable and easy to integrate. And it also provide the realistic data. When we say realistic data, let's say consider you want to know first name, last name, then it generates the realistic real-time data. But AutoFixture generates like name 1 2 3 4 5, which is just a string, but it's not very realistic. So that's why most of the time we prefer to use bogus or faker. To understand in more detail, we are going to create a new SpecFlow project from the Visual Studio. So I selected and I will create a new project, and I will select the SpecFlow template. I will create new. I will give project SpecFlow fake data integration, right? And I will keep it wherever it's located, and I will select .NET Framework 6.0 and JUnit. I will create it. Okay, so solution has been created, and then I will build it just to make sure that build is happening proper, right? And then we will install all the libraries what is required. So I will go and packages, add manage new guest packages, and as usual we will install Selenium driver, WebDriver, and we will install it. We'll select it and install it. Then we will have a Selenium support, and I will install Selenium support, apply, and then I will install Bogus. So you can find out Bogus and install that Bogus, right? And then we can install Faker.net. This is what we require, Faker.net. We can install it here. And then okay, and then we need require auto fixture. So I will install auto fixture here, and I will install it here. I accept it. So we can verify it. We have auto fixture, bogus, faker, and then we have Selenium support, Selenium WebDriver. So we can see all this are installed, and we will rebuild it. So build successfully. If you can see here, build successfully. Now what I'm going to do that I'm going to remove this existing feature file. Just need to delete it, and I will delete this again. Okay. So uh, I'm going to consider a realistic scenario, which is right registration page where a lot of information we require to provide to register, and also a real-time website which we will be using for the test case. So let's first create a feature file. To save the time, I have already created the feature file, so I will just copy paste here that feature file detail. So I'm going copy that feature file, and then I'm going to select the user registration feature file, right? And first I will create the user registration feature file. So let me create it. I will create here, add new item, and then I will select SpecFlow and then SpecFlow feature file, and then I will give that name as user registration feature file. So this error you will get it whenever you have a feature file with the name having space, so that you will get it. So don't worry about that. And then I will copy this all feature file information there, right? So I will explain this feature file. Okay. So in this, what we are having a website where we require some information to supply for registration. So one is positive scenario, one is negative scenario. The first one is a valid one, and second one is invalid. So we'll take one sample and we'll do that. But before we proceed further, what we need to generate the step definition. So let's say create a step definition, and we can see the step definition are created, and now our uh, feature file are binded to Spring. So now I will rebuild it. All right. So now what I'm going to do that I'm going to create a page object, right? So we require a page object, right? So let me go and explain what websites we are going to use it for testing purpose, right? So I'm going on this step definition and going to show you that website which basically help us to do the real-time testing. When you are developing something, you might not have a website which you want to test it. So this website, which I have used currently, you can use any website and write your own code, but just to demonstrate the real-time scenario, because this contains lot of realistic data which you might used in your real-time project. Okay, so like first name, last name, address, email address, phone, generator, habits, language, then country, date of birth, password, and confirm password, right? This website is having one problem because this country is not displaying today, this select country, but nevertheless, it will not stop us to automate it. So we will automate this. We will not able to submit it, but we will automate and we will see that how the test data generator works. Okay, so this website link I will provide in a description box. Also, this code, whatever I'm going to write it, I will share the Git repository link, which you can refer it. Now, so what I did it, I created the step definition file, right? But before that, what we require all these elements, right? XPath query. So to do that, what I have followed it, I have followed the page object model. That means I'm going to create a registration page object, and then all these elements I'm going to define there. Okay, so I have already created it, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. So what I'm going to do that I'm going to use it, right? So I'm going to have a page object folder, and then I'm going to use this. So let's create a page object folder here. You can put it outside also. Let me make it a separate folder. So I'm going to create a new folder here, and then I'm going to give the name as a page object, right? Page object. Okay. Inside the page object, I'm going to create a page object name called registration page object, right? So I'm going to create a registration page object, right? So add new class, and then I'm going to add the registration page object, right? So I created registration page object, and then I will copy this all code uh, so that we can save the time, and it contains all the informations and export which required to identify those elements, right? So I'm going to paste it there, and we have this, right? Web driver is there, and then we are good. So we have a page object, and if you see all this page object elements are identified by XPath, either by ID. So all this, whatever is available on this website, I just added those XPath there so that we can identify this. Because if we start writing here, it might take a hours to do that. All. So that's why I have created page object model, and then I have used this XPath, existing XPath, and then we will be now we have added the page object and added the feature file. Now we will try to write the code into the step definition. In similar manner, I have a step definition already created, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy this complete step definition file, right? So I just copy the step definition file, and I'm going to paste it. I will explain each and every line so that you will understand that what I'm going to do that and how I'm going to do that. So I added it here, and then uh, I will be commenting this line just to explain. Okay, that's fine. Okay. and then I will be uncommenting this line, and also I'll be commenting this line. Okay, that's fine. Then we are going to create a C# class which required for all these attributes, right? To hold those data, we require a type class, right? A class which can have this information. So we are going to create a class. That class I have already created. So I just copy that class and then I will put that name as a registration test data, right? So we will create here and add new class, and I will give that name as test data generate, registration test data. And then I will copy all those attributes, whatever on that is particular page is required to for passing the data, we will be having here. So I'm going to test it. So this is, and then we will build this solution. Okay, build successfully. Let's understand what we have done till now. So we have installed all our dependencies, that AutoFixture, Bogus, Faker, and then Selenium WebDriver and Selenium support. After that, what we have done it, we have created a feature file, right? User registration, this is the feature file, right? So in this feature file, we are having one positive and one negative scenario. Positive is when user uh, enter the valid data, user should be able to successfully register. When user enter a invalid detail, then user should get a error message. These are the two test cases. One is positive, one is negative. Then what we have done it, we have created a step definition, and in step definition we have written the code, and that I code I will go in deep uh, once we will discuss on the bogus. Okay, so I have created a the page object model. So I'm following the page object model. If you are aware about that, what is page object model, then it's okay. If not, then please refer my previous video where I have explained in more detail what is the page object model. So here I have created page object model, and then I have identified those all elements which is there in this application, right? Registration page, this application, because we are automating this particular page. So that's why I have identified all these element either X path or by ID. Okay. So this page object has been created. Now we will go to step definition. So what I'm doing it here, I am basically having this page object model here, and then initializing that page object model into the constructor of this step definition. So I'm just defining the Chrome driver, and then I'm creating a page object model by passing the driver. So that driver is the input. A constructor injection here is required for the page object. Like a traditional way of doing the page object model is that you inject the web driver here. So we have injected here, and then we have created instance of the page object, right? So the first what we are going to do here, we are navigating to this particular page. So it will navigate to this particular page, and then with the first sample, what I'm going to show you that in this we are not having any bogus or any fake data generator. So this is just a manual test data which I provided here, and then I'm what I'm doing here, all the first name text box, last name text box, email ID, phone, all this I'm assigning the value from here. So test data dot first name I'm assigning to first name, right? So as of now, it's just a manual test data creation. That means it's a manual job, and I did it. Okay, so I have assigned it. Now let's run the test cases, and then we will see how does this fake data generator help us to quickly automate the test cases. So let's say consider if you are having test data test, right? It might be possible after the first execution, this test data become invalid because same user you cannot register multiple times same ID. So you need to have a new test data. Okay, so let's go on the test explorer, right? And you will be able to see few test cases. I'm just expanding here. So you will be able to see two test cases. I'm going to run only past two test cases. So let's say valid, right? And I'm going to run it. So when you run it, you will be able to see that it's going to uh, open that websites and try to enter the value for the given input fields, right? So this started running, and you can see that is going to add this value whatever we have given, right? So if you see it's giving error because this website is having some issue on the country drop down box is not populating, but once you take this code and run it in some other day, it will work. That's fine. So if you see the John first name, last name, address, email, and then phone number, this all hobbies, this all information, from where does it comes? It's coming from our step definition, right? Let me go to step. So whatever John Doe and then email ID, right? You can see that same information. Sorry, same informations are getting, all right, getting set here because our Selenium driver is when we are running this test case is read this test data, and then Selenium driver used to set this send this data there. Now, since this test data is manually created, right? What will happen once you run one time, you will not able to run the test case because it's a hard coded. So to avoid that, what we can do, we can use this fake data generator, right? To generate that. So let's consider the fake data generator, which we are going to use it like first I will comment this. Now I will comment this, right? Now the uh, fixator, right? We need to, okay, okay. So we need to see how this fixator works. So to generate the test data, just see we require, for example, we require only one line of this code. What does it do basically? When this line execute, is generate a fake data. This library, basically the fix. If you see this fix library, right? This name is this. Is added AutoFixture or fixer. It will allow you to generate the test data. So I will put a breakpoint just to show that like how this test data is generated. I will go on Test Explorer and I will debug it, debug this test case. So let's see, it will go to that particular point and then we will try to see the value of those fields and see what is generated. Okay, so it comes here and it comes here. I'm going to click on continue here, and if you see the test data, right? So you see the address is generating address 6, some GUID, password is that, country is that, this some like that. So this is AutoFixer which generates the data, but it's not very realistic. You are able to see, right? This data are not very much realistic with the real, like address never come under this GUID and that. This help us to generate a dummy string data, but it does not generate the realistic data, right? So if you continue, right, if you continue it, you will be able to see on the screen is added some address and GUID, email GUID. It's not realistic data. So the fixer or auto fixer is used to generate the data, that kind of data, right? So the first suppose what I discussed is that using the auto fixer, right? So auto fixer, you just need to write this code, and every time when you run that, it's always generate a new test data. But the issue with this is that it does not generate the realistic data. So this is the line of code which required to write it to use AutoFixer to generate it, and this is the namespace which you require to use it. And then whatever the class, right? Whatever the class you want to create a data, so you have to create uh, define a class like how we have defined here, and based on the attribute properties available in that particular class, this line will generate the test data, right? So it's very clear, right? I think it's clear. And then now we will see how we can generate the test data using Bogus. So Bogus is the one library which generates very realistic data. To do that, we are going to create a new class that is called test data generator. So let me create a test data generator class. Let's say copy, and then I'm going to create add a new item, and then I will have a class, I will have a class and then I will give a name called test data generator and I will create it, right? So I have created test data generator. Okay, again, I will go back and I have already defined this, so I will copy from there. So I will open this test data generator and then I will copy that code. Okay, so I will copy this code and then I will go to the test data generator class. Let me copy all this because it does not have, okay, copy this all and then I will have it here, right? So I created a test data generator class here and I make it static because I want to use it without creating instance, right? So if I go to step definition now, I can see the test data generator and this. So let's understand how we have implemented. So if you see, this is the class file which we have created. So what we have done it, we are using Bogus, right? So Bogus is the library which we have already installed here in the package. This is the Bogus, right? Bogus. And then we are getting faker equal to bogus dot faker. And then if you see, I'm giving faker dot name dot first name, faker dot name dot last name. So it will generate the first name, last name, a very realistic. For example, John, right, Ramesh, something like that. It will be generating very realistic data, right? Let's say consider you are having phone number, so it will generate always 10-digit phone number, right? So this data, this bogus will generate a realistic data which we can use it for our test. So now let's consider here, uh, in our step definition, we are generating this data and then we are passing first name, last name, email, and phone number. Now I'm going to run that same test cases, right? So see that what is happen. So if I run same test cases, what is going to happen is going to give you some data, right? So it's run. So if you see here, it's going to, so if you see this, okay, so let's wait for few minutes. Okay, so you see address is giving address, email ID also is realistic, phone number also is realistic, first name, last name is also, hobbies also, language also, right? And skill also, country also is selecting, right? This all information is selecting, even though this date so it's a selecting, right? So it's a selecting very realistic data here, right? So if you try to debug it, let's put a debugger so that you can understand that how the test data. So I put a debugger here and go on the test explorer and I will debug this. And then we will try to see what is generated by that class. So you will be able to see that. Okay, so now if you see the test data, right, every time you run, this all information will be new. So if you see this first name, last name, right, French, German, this all, right, this will generate. Now this make our test case as a data driven. Why data driven? Because every time when you run this test case, need not to do it data setting up the data. This one time, this code, whatever you have written, that basically generate the test data for you. So let me go in that class once again and test data generator. So this is one time job. Once you define it, right, every time it generate new. For example, if you have a language and you want to select randomly in the given list. For example, if you have a male, female, others, right, and you want to select always that static value, it also give a privilege and extensibility on this, so that you can define your own value which you want to alternatively or randomly select it. Okay. For example, if you want to get date of birth, right, any number between 1 to 31, or if you want to give first name, last name in a certain character, right, 10 character, 20 character, it will be giving you that value. So it will give a privilege to define our own rule to scale this test data setup so that we can make use of this and we can make our test case more robust and data driven. Right. Now, faker, what does it basically? Bogus and faker are very similar, but the difference between that, right? If I use faker, right? Let's say you want to generate the first name, right? So let me go into the step definition file, and I will show you one scenario so that you can understand. So let's say consider you want to generate first mm, string first name, right? First first name, right? So when you want to generate first name, basically you will be using faker dot name, right? Dot, right? You can put it first, right? So like this, basically like this, you will be able to generate. So if you see the implementation wise, how the faker and the bogus use is very much similar, but it bogus has the other advantage as well, right? As we have discussed initially. So here, but we are using faker name dot first name, but is a part of the bogus, but the faker, whatever we have explained here is right. It's not part of bogus. It's a part of faker dot net, and it also gives a similar kind of feature. So both, if you understand one library, you will be able to do it similar into other library. So I hope it help you to understand how to use these libraries in any kind of testing, even though you can use in unit testing, API testing, or any kind of automation testing where you require a, fake data generator. You can use it, and it is required very minimal effort to generate unique test data. Right. So I'm going to add this detail of this code repository in a description section. You can refer it. And also, if you have any questions which you have not understand, please drop a message on the comment box. I will respond you. Thanks for watching my channel. I hope it helped you to understand. If yes, please subscribe my channel. Thank you.